If the hype around this car, the all-new Volvo XC40, is anything to go by, I'm about to have my socks blown off. International press reports have suggested that this could be the best thing that Volvo has ever done as a brand, and what a time to get it right. The XC40 is a small SUV, and that's the segment where everybody wants to play, because if you can lure a buyer in here, there's a good chance you'll be able to keep them for life. So they might get into an XC40 to begin with, but then over time they'll move up to an XC60 and then spend more money on an XC90. And both of those cars are terrific in their own right. So does this compact SUV live up to those highs that the bigger SUVs in the Volvo portfolio have set? Well, let's find out. The Volvo XC40 range comes in two different model grades, the entry-level Momentum, which starts below 50 grand, and the top-spec R-Design, which starts at about 55. Like most modern-day European manufacturers, the standard spec is better than it once was, but there are still plenty of options available to choose from. Read our review for a full detailed breakdown. At launch, there are two engine options for each grade. The T5 Turbo Petrol with a punchy 185 kilowatts and 350 newton meters, and the D4 Twin Turbo Diesel, again with high outputs, 140 kilowatts and 400 newton meters. Both have 8-speed automatic transmissions as standard, and both are all-wheel drive, giving these little tykes a point of difference against competitors like the Audi Q2, BMW X2 and Mercedes GLA, all of which have front-wheel drive entry-level models. Fuel use is claimed at 7.7 litres per 100 kilometres for the petrol models and just 5.3 litres per 100 for the diesels. An entry-level 3-cylinder front-wheel drive model will arrive later on, promising an even more enticing price point. I'm a big fan of the boxiness that Volvo has introduced with this XC40. There's lots of lines, but it still looks muscular. It's also pretty playful. Things like this lovely little Swedish flag on the front flank give it that youthful appeal. And I guess that's exactly what they're going for, because this is the entry point to the SUV range for them. It may be Volvo's first proper small SUV. Yep, I'm pushing aside the Volvo V40 Cross Country for a reason there, but it looks fairly substantial. I mean, it's quite large for its segment, and that translates to the interior space as well. The interior of the XC40 features some really innovative touches, like the fact there are no speakers in the bottoms of the doors, so you get huge door pockets as a result. No, your eyes aren't playing tricks on you. This is orange carpet. And yes, it is an option, so if you want it, you can have it. I can understand why you wouldn't. But it is 97% recycled. So it's made of plastic bottles, and in every XC40 you'll see this carpet on the floor and also in the door pockets. There are some other clever features as well, like the 9-inch portrait-style media system with sat-nav and Bluetooth and Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, all the stuff that you'd expect in this day and age, it's all there. Plus, you get a 12-inch driver information screen, which is a lovely little hand-me-down from the models above. Of course, you get a reversing camera, but you can also get a 360-degree surround view camera, which is in these launch edition models that we're driving today. I don't know whether you'd need it though. It's got fairly good visibility. The C-pillar's a little bit big, but generally it's pretty easy to see out of, and there's good adjustment to the seat as well, which is excellent if you're a shorter driver. And the storage side of things is really well thought out as well. Check out on the glove box, there's this little flip down curry bag holder, as the British call it. So you can put your shopping bag there, or even a handbag or a man bag, if that's what you want. Plus, there's clever things like wireless charging in this front section, which is big enough for a couple of phones, in fact. And there's two USB ports here, there's cup holders in between, and in this middle section, just here, there's a rubbish bin. And it's removable, so you can take it out and clean it if you need to. Of course, there's also a section in between the seats for storage of loose items. People have said that that could be a tissue box spot. I don't know whether I'd put tissues in there, but it's really well thought out in here. There's no doubt about it. Volvo has moved the game on in terms of thoughtfulness in this segment. Now, what about the back seat? No, it doesn't feel like a small SUV in here to me. In fact, this leaves a lot of mid-sized SUVs for dead in terms of interior space. There's definitely enough knee room and headroom back here for me, and I'm 6 foot tall. You could fit 3 of me across the back, which is pretty handy in this size of SUV as well. But if you have kids, there are ISOFIX points on the outboard seats and top tethers across all 3. Of course, there's also a fold down armrest with some cup holders, and you get rear air vents as well. As well as that, there is a USB-C port. Now, as far as I'm aware, this is the first USB-C port we've seen in any car. And if you're not sure what that is, it's the new generation of USB ports. It's smaller and apparently quicker and all this. Not really sure that it matters yet, but I'm sure that it will matter in a few years' time. And of course, you get mesh mat pockets or toy pockets if you've got kids, and that's a hard plastic there. So if you do have a little kid who likes to kick the back of your seat, then at least they'll be kicking something hard rather than your spine. There are some cost-cutting measures if you look a little bit closer though. Things like this plastic section near the door handle doesn't quite match what's happening up front. And sure, that might matter to you if you're really, really anal about that sort of stuff. But for most people, it won't matter because it'll just be the kids getting their grubby mitts all over that anyway. Now, let's check out the boot. The boot is a little bit bigger than some of its competitors, with 460 litres of space with the seats up, which expands to more than 1,300 litres with them down. And there are some clever bits. Let me show you a little bit closer. So there are nifty things like remote seat releases in the boot, so you don't have to go back and forth between the doors. And also this very clever second floor. So here you've got shopping bag hooks, so you can stop things from moving around, and also that creates a secondary storage space in front there. As well as that, you've got a false floor underneath, and underneath there, you've got a space saver spare. It's very clever packaging. Now, let's get to how it drives, because so far, it's living up to those lofty expectations of mine. We didn't get a chance to drive the diesel version this time around. Instead, we've been spending our time in the petrol, which when you think about it is kind of like a hot hatch on stilts. It's got 180 kilowatts and 350 Newton meters, which is not far off a Ford Focus ST. And while this may not grab you by the scruff of your neck and throw you around like that car does, it is pretty quick. The 8-speed automatic can take a little while to figure out what you want from it, but it's tuned for efficiency like all modern cars. So it might not be the full hot hatch experience, but you do have paddle shifters on the steering wheel if you want to take things into your own hands. One thing that a lot of SUVs struggle with is on-road refinement, but not the XC40. It is quiet. There's 20-inch wheels on this R-Design model with low-profile tyres, and there's not very much road noise to contend with at all, nor is there too much wind noise or engine noise. It's a pretty cocooned environment in here. Yes, this is the R-Design model with those big 20-inch wheels that probably look a little bit too big for this car in my opinion, but they do offer plenty of grip from the tyres, and it's all-wheel drive, so you've got heaps of traction to play with as well. Plus, even though it's got the R-Design sport suspension setup, it doesn't ride too roughly. In fact, it rides pretty nicely. It's never really been an upsetting experience the whole time we've been in it, and that's been in and around Adelaide and then out onto some country roads, including some patchwork B roads as well. One thing that sets the XC40 apart from the XC60 and 90 is its steering. It's not as empty. There's a bit more feel to it. It's a bit more agile in corners, and you do feel like you've got more of a connection because it's a bit quicker on center. It's more fun to drive than those bigger SUVs. In fact, I would say that it's the most fun I've had driving a Volvo since the last time I drove a Polestar model. And to be honest, I didn't really enjoy that very much. So this could be the most fun I've had in a Volvo ever. So there you have it, the all-new Volvo XC40 small SUV. Has it blown my socks off? Look, it's pretty bloody close. This is a really impressive first effort in the small SUV segment from the Scandinavian brand. Sure, it might be a little bit expensive for some people's budgets, but unlike some other premium SUVs in the segment, at least you feel like you're getting your money's worth with this one.